My mom denied my son dessert at Thanksgiving while her golden grandkids got seconds. Dad texted, transfer the mortgage tomorrow. So I did, just not the way he expected. Hey Reddit, my parents spent 30 years treating me like a failed experiment, but when they humiliated my 8-year-old son at Thanksgiving dinner, I finally stopped playing their game. What followed was the most satisfying financial reckoning of my life. Buckle up because this gets wild. I'm Laura, 37 female, and I've been the invisible daughter since birth. Not the rebellious kid, not the problem child, just inconvenient. My sister got the spotlight, my brother got the praise, and I got whatever attention remained after they'd exhausted themselves on the golden children. Which was usually nothing. Growing up, I learned early that asking for things was pointless. When I won the district science fair in 8th grade after spending weeks building a solar-powered water filtration system, my mom glanced at the blue ribbon and said, "That's nice, dear." Before turning back to help my brother with his social studies poster due the next day, he got a C plus on it. He got a C. They took him for ice cream anyway to celebrate his hard work. Meanwhile, my blue ribbon went in a drawer somewhere and was never mentioned again. Christmas mornings were a masterclass in favoritism. My sister's presents would be stacked ceiling high. Designer clothes, electronics, whatever she'd mentioned wanting in the past 6 months. My brother would get the latest gaming systems and sports equipment. My pile? Practical gifts? Socks, school supplies, maybe a flannel shirt if I was lucky. "You're so responsible," Mom would say with this satisfied smile. Like buying me work gloves instead of anything I actually wanted was some kind of gift in itself. I remember one year I asked for a simple art set because I'd gotten interested in painting. Christmas morning came, and I got 3 pairs of thermal socks and a planner. The art set never materialized. Dad spent weekends in the backyard teaching my brother to throw a football or helping him with science projects. I'd be in the garage alone, watching YouTube videos to learn how to fix things because nobody had time to show me. I'd ask Dad for help and he'd always say, "In a minute." A minute that stretched into hours, then days, then eventually I just stopped asking. I taught myself how to change a tire at 14 by watching videos. Learned basic plumbing at 16 the same way. Dad was 30 feet away in the house, but he might as well have been on another planet. The golden child treatment extended to everything. My sister could wreck Mom's car and they'd shrug it off with, "Accidents happen, sweetie." I'd come home 5 minutes past curfew after working a late shift at the hardware store and get grounded for 2 weeks. Different rules for different kids, but always the same excuse. That's just how things are. I stopped fighting it around age 16. Just accepted that I'd always be the backup kid, the one they remembered existed when they needed something. I worked jobs, saved money, stayed quiet, built my own life brick by brick while they built monuments to my siblings. My first car? Bought it myself at 17 with money from my hardware store job. My sister got a brand new Honda for her 16th birthday. The difference was so obvious even the neighbors noticed, but nobody said anything. College happened on my dime. No family contribution, no trust fund access like my siblings got. I worked full-time while taking classes, graduated with decent grades and minimal debt, and got exactly 0 acknowledgement for it. My sister dropped out after 3 semesters because college wasn't her vibe, and they threw her a "you tried your best" party, complete with a cake and family photos. My brother took 6 years to finish his degree, changed majors 4 times, and when he finally graduated, they acted like he'd cured cancer. When I graduated, I got a card in the mail with $50 in it and a note that said, "Congratulations on your accomplishment." The pattern continued into adulthood. I got divorced at 29, not some dramatic explosion, just 2 people who realized they wanted different things. My ex-husband wanted to move across the country for a job opportunity. I wanted to stay near my established career. We talked it out like adults and split amicably. My parents acted like I'd personally embarrassed them. No support, no, "Are you okay?" Just disappointment that I'd failed at something they could brag about to their friends. Mom actually said at Sunday dinner, "Well, we always knew marriage would be hard for you." Like it was some character flaw I'd always had. Here's the kicker though. I didn't fall apart. Didn't cry on their couch or beg for help. Just moved out, found a better job, and bought my own house at 31. Paid cash for a modest 3-bedroom in a decent school district. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Every nail, every mortgage payment, every decision, mine. That's when things got weird. My dad suddenly wanted to help by wrapping my mortgage into some family trust situation. Said it would streamline things and provide better financial security. I knew exactly what it meant. He wanted his name on my deed. He wanted control of the one thing I'd built without them. The one thing that proved I didn't need their approval or their money. I declined politely. Told him I appreciated the offer but preferred to keep things separate. He didn't take it well. His face got red, and he spent 20 minutes explaining how I was making a mistake and being stubborn for no reason. From that moment on, my financial independence became a personal insult to him. Every family gathering included some comment about how I was isolating myself or too proud to accept help. My brother Ryan actually said it best one time after a particularly tense Sunday dinner. "You're the only one they can't manipulate. That's why they act like you're invisible." He said it quietly while we were cleaning up dishes, Mom and Dad in the other room arguing about something trivial. I looked at him and realized he'd been watching the same dysfunction I had, just from a different angle. Ryan's different from the rest. He sees the favoritism, acknowledges it, even calls it out occasionally. He's not part of the problem, but he doesn't always step in either. I don't blame him. It's hard to fight a system you benefit from, even when you know it's wrong. He's got his own family to protect, his own battles to pick, but at least he sees it. At least he doesn't pretend everything's normal. Then I had Ethan. My son changed everything, but not in the way I hoped. I thought maybe a grandchild would soften them, give us some common ground. Instead, they just added him to their hierarchy of disappointment. My sister has twins, Sophia and Michael. Perfect angels, according to my parents. Sophia plays piano and gets straight A's. Michael is on the traveling soccer team. My brother has 3 kids who can do no wrong. They're involved in everything: theater, sports, debate team. My parents attend every single event, post about it on social media, brag to everyone they know. And then there's Ethan, who gets treated like a visitor in their museum of golden grandchildren. They brush past him in hallways, forget his birthday, never ask about his interests. Last year, on his 7th birthday, they sent a card 3 weeks late with a generic $20 bill inside. No phone call, no visit. Meanwhile, my sister's twins got a massive party at a trampoline park that same month with a guest list of 40 kids. It's like watching my childhood play out again, except this time it's happening to my kid. And that hurts worse than anything they ever did to me. I've tolerated the subtle digs for years. The way Mom lights up when my sister walks in but barely glances at us. The way Dad calls my brother's kids his real legacy at family dinners. The way they correct Ethan's manners while ignoring worse behavior from the other grandkids. I've swallowed it all because that's what you do, right? You keep the peace. You don't rock the boat. You tell yourself it's not worth the fight. But Thanksgiving changed everything. That's when they crossed a line I didn't even know existed. We got there early, me and Ethan, because Ethan had helped make cranberry sauce the night before and was excited to show Grandma. He'd carefully measured ingredients, stirred the pot, tasted it about 40 times to make sure it was perfect. We'd used fresh cranberries, orange zest, a touch of cinnamon. Kid was so proud of how it turned out. He'd even picked out a special container to bring it in and made a little label that said, "Ethan's cranberry sauce," with a drawing of a cranberry. Mom took one look at his container, smiled politely, and placed it behind her store-bought dish on the counter. Didn't taste it. Didn't compliment him. Didn't even acknowledge the effort. Just dismissed it like it was taking up space. Ethan's face fell, but he didn't say anything. 8 years old, and he already knew better than to expect more. He just quietly went to wash his hands. Shoulders slumped in a way that broke my heart. Dinner was the usual chaos. 20 people crammed around a table meant for 12. My sister's kids got first pick of everything. Best cuts of turkey, extra servings, whatever they wanted. Dad opened this special bottle he'd been saving, some vintage something or other, and announced it was only for grown-ups who know how to appreciate it, then immediately poured a glass for my sister's 12-year-old daughter because she's mature for her age. She took one sip, made a face, and pushed it away. Dad laughed like it was charming. Ethan asked why there weren't mashed potatoes this year. Not rude, not demanding, just curious. He likes mashed potatoes. It's his favorite side dish, and he'd been talking about them all week. Mom laughed this sharp little laugh and said, "Because some people don't need any more starch." She was looking directly at him when she said it. My sister's daughter giggled. The comment wasn't subtle. It was cruel. It was deliberate, and it was meant to hurt. But we made it through dinner. I kept telling myself it was almost over. Ethan was excited for dessert. He loves pumpkin cheesecake, and Mom makes a good one. He even helped set out the dessert plates, carefully arranging forks and napkins like he was contributing to something important. He'd been looking forward to this all day. My sister's kids got their slices first. Big, generous pieces with extra whipped cream. They were halfway through before the tray even made its way back to my mom. Ethan stood there waiting, smiling, fork in hand. Patient, polite, everything they'd always demanded he be. Mom looked right past him and said, without blinking, "He didn't earn dessert after the way he acted." The room went quiet for maybe 3 seconds. You could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. Then one of my sister's twins asked for seconds. Got them immediately. Big slice, extra whipped cream, even a drizzle of caramel sauce. No questions asked. No requirements about earning anything. Ethan turned to me and whispered, "It's okay, Mom." That's what broke me. Not anger or tears, just acceptance. My 8-year-old son accepting that he wasn't worth dessert while watching other kids get seconds. Accepting that his grandmother treated him like an afterthought. Accepting that this was just how things were. He'd already learned the lesson I'd spent decades trying to unlearn, that he wasn't enough, would never be enough. I grabbed his coat, helped him into it in complete silence, and walked out. Didn't say goodbye, didn't explain. Didn't make a scene, just left. Behind us, I could hear my mother calling my name, but I didn't turn around. Didn't acknowledge her. Just kept walking. Got home, made him hot cocoa with extra marshmallows, and let him eat the backup cookies we'd made the night before. Chocolate chip, his favorite. He seemed fine, probably relieved to be away from the tension. We watched a movie together, some animated thing about dragons. He fell asleep halfway through, curled up next to me on the couch. I sat there after he went to bed, staring at the wall, trying to process what had just happened. Trying to understand how my own mother could be so casually cruel to a child. My child. At exactly 10:13 p.m., my phone lit up. Text from Dad. Transfer the mortgage tomorrow. Don't be late. No question about why we'd left. No concern for Ethan. No acknowledgement that anything had even happened. Just a demand for the monthly mortgage transfer they expected me to make. Part of some ridiculous family investment portfolio Dad had set up years ago that I'd been stupid enough to agree to. See, when I bought my house, Dad convinced me to structure it through this family account system. Said it would build equity for everyone and create generational wealth. He had charts and spreadsheets and made it sound so logical. Translation. He wanted control over my finances even after I'd refused to let him co-sign. The setup was simple. I paid into a family fund. They distributed it through various investments, and theoretically, everyone benefited. In reality, it meant my parents had insight into my finances and could manipulate the flow whenever it suited them. They knew when I got paid, how much I made, what I spent, everything. I'd been planning to exit the arrangement for months, but kept putting it off because confrontation with them always felt pointless. Every time I thought about bringing it up, I'd talk myself out of it. Tell myself it wasn't worth the fight. Tell myself it was easier to just keep going along with it. Not anymore. I stared at Dad's text until the screen went dark. Didn't respond. Just sat there thinking about how many times I'd excused their behavior, how many holidays I'd let slide, how many times I'd convinced myself that family meant tolerating disrespect because that's just how they are. But watching my son be dismissed like that, on purpose for no reason except to put him in his place, something inside me finally went still, cold, decided. I'd transfer the mortgage the next morning, just not the way Dad expected, and definitely not for his benefit. The next day was Friday. I woke up early, made Ethan pancakes with chocolate chips arranged in a smiley face, got him off to school with a hug that lasted maybe 10 seconds longer than usual. Then, I sat down at my computer and opened every financial document I'd been ignoring for the past 3 years. The family investment account Dad had set up was more complicated than I'd realized. My mortgage wasn't actually connected to their main trust. It was in a separate vehicle Dad controlled, but one I was technically listed on as a co-holder. He'd structured it that way intentionally, wanting access without responsibility. Typical. I spent 2 hours on the phone with my bank. The representative was patient, walked me through everything, transferred my entire mortgage out of the family system and into a straightforward personal account. Clean break. Then I removed myself from every shared financial connection we had. Investment accounts, emergency funds, all of it. Every single thread that connected my money to theirs, I cut it. My name, my money, my control. Simple. I didn't tell them. Didn't explain. Just did it. The transfers would show up in their accounts by Monday, and they'd see exactly what happened. I'd left. Completely. No warning, no negotiation, no chance to talk me out of it. That day came and went. No calls, no texts, no one asking if Ethan was okay or why we'd left Thanksgiving dinner early. It was like nothing had happened. In their minds, Dad had demanded the mortgage transfer, and that meant everything was settled. Business as usual in the dysfunction factory. Mom even posted photos of the dinner table online with captions about family, gratitude, and love. Photos of the table after we'd left, with everyone else smiling. Love. The word almost made me laugh. She'd cropped us out of the narrative entirely, like we'd never been there. Saturday, Ethan had a soccer game. Ryan showed up like he always did, with his youngest daughter in tow. Ryan's the only one in my family who's consistent. He shows up for us even when he doesn't have to. His daughter and Ethan are close, just a year apart. They ran around after the game, playing tag with the other kids. After the game, while the kids chased each other around the field, Ryan finally asked what happened at Thanksgiving. Said Mom had told everyone that Ethan had acted out and she was teaching him respect. According to her version, Ethan had been rude at dinner, talked back, refused to eat what was served. None of which was true. But it didn't matter. She'd created her narrative and everyone believed it. I asked if he believed that. He shook his head immediately, said he'd seen the way Mom talked to Ethan before, and didn't buy her version for a second. He'd noticed things over the years. The way she'd light up for other grandkids, but barely acknowledge Ethan. The different standards. The casual cruelty disguised as discipline. Then he asked something that surprised me. What do you want me to do? Not what happened or how can I help, but what do you want me to do? Like he'd already decided to take my side and was just waiting for direction. Like he'd been waiting for permission to stop pretending everything was fine. I told him the truth. I was done. Done with the guilt trips, the financial manipulation, the pretending. Done playing the role of grateful daughter while they treated my son like garbage. Done explaining away their behavior. Done making excuses. I wanted out completely. Out of the family trust, the investment accounts, all of it. Ryan didn't blink. Didn't try to talk me out of it. Didn't suggest family therapy or mediation or any of the usual band-aids people slap on toxic family dynamics. Just said he understood. Told me he and his wife had been noticing the way Mom and Dad treated us for years, but didn't want to interfere. They'd had conversations about it, apparently. Debated whether to say something. His wife had wanted to speak up multiple times, but Ryan had held her back, not wanting to make waves. I told him he didn't have to interfere. Just stop protecting them from consequences. Stop smoothing things over. Stop pretending their behavior was acceptable just to keep the peace. That night, while putting Ethan to bed, my phone buzzed. Text from Mom. It was a photo of my sister's kids holding up leftover cheesecake like trophies, forks in hand, huge smiles. They were at my parents' kitchen counter, the same spot where Ethan had stood waiting for dessert hours earlier. Caption underneath, next time, maybe Ethan will earn a slice. I stared at it for a full minute, trying to decide if she was being deliberately cruel or if she genuinely thought this was funny, if she somehow believed this was appropriate. Either way, it didn't matter. The intent didn't matter. The impact was the same. I didn't show Ethan. Just deleted the photo and blocked her number. Then I blocked Dad too. And my sister. Clean sweep. Next morning, I called Ryan. Told him I wanted out of everything tied to our parents. The trust account, family investments, the whole system. They wanted to act like I didn't belong? Fine. They were about to find out what that really meant. He agreed without hesitation. Said he'd call the family attorney and make it official. I could hear the weight in his voice. Not pity, but finality. Like he'd been waiting for this moment too. Like he knew it had been coming for years. By midweek, Dad called twice. I didn't answer. The voicemail he left sounded rehearsed, like a mix between disappointment and control. Said he'd noticed some movement in the accounts and wanted to make sure there weren't any misunderstandings. His voice was calm but tight, the voice of someone trying to maintain control while feeling it slip away. There were no misunderstandings. For the first time in my life, I was completely clear. I opened my laptop that night and started writing everything down. Every comment, every dismissal, every time they'd chosen my siblings over me. Every backhanded compliment disguised as advice. Every time I'd been told I was too sensitive, too cold, too ungrateful. Every single instance I could remember, going back to childhood. Not for them, for me. So I'd never forget why I was doing this. So when the guilt came, and I knew it would, I'd have proof, evidence, a record of exactly why this was necessary. Thanksgiving wasn't just the last straw, it was proof. Proof that they'd never change, never see me, never stop trying to control the narrative. Proof that hoping for different was just setting myself up for more disappointment. About a week later, Mom sent out one of her classic group emails. Subject line, Christmas plans, with enough exclamation points to make it look like celebration instead of damage control. She had a template she used every year, probably saved in her drafts, just updated the dates and details. She listed everything like nothing had happened. Who was bringing what time dinner would be served, how she wanted everyone to wear matching sweaters for family unity. She'd even picked out specific sweaters, sent links to where we could buy them, coordinating colors, sizes for everyone. No mention of Ethan. No mention of what she'd said to him. No acknowledgement that we'd walked out. No apology, implicit or otherwise. She signed off with some nonsense about letting go of past tension and starting fresh for the sake of the grandchildren. That was her version of an apology, painting herself as the peacemaker while sweeping her cruelty under the rug, acting like she was being the bigger person by moving forward, like we all just needed to get over it. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. 2 days later, Ryan called. Said he'd met with the family attorney like we discussed. The trust could be split. Technically difficult, but not impossible. We'd each get control over our portions, and once mine was separated, my parents would lose any say over how I used it. It would take some paperwork, some time, but it was doable. I said yes immediately. Didn't hesitate. Didn't ask for time to think about it. Just yes. Ryan hesitated, said Dad had already gotten word through the law firm and tried to delay the paperwork. Claimed I was being emotional, and this would blow over once she calms down. Like I was having some temporary breakdown instead of making a rational decision based on decades of evidence. He called me emotional. That was his defense. Like this was hormones and spite instead of 37 years of being treated like a second-class daughter. Instead of watching my son be treated the same way. Instead of finally having enough. Ryan sent me a copy of Dad's email to the attorney. In it, Dad wrote, "Laura is unstable right now. Please don't take irreversible actions based on a temporary outburst. We need time for cooler heads to prevail." I read that line 3 times. He didn't say I was hurt. Didn't say I had a point. Didn't acknowledge any wrongdoing on their part. Said I was unstable. Like the problem was my perception, not their behavior. Later that night, Ryan texted, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I replied, "Absolutely. And don't just do it for me. Do it so your kids don't grow up thinking this is normal." He didn't respond for a few minutes. Then, "We're not going to Christmas either." That's when it shifted. I wasn't just the difficult daughter anymore. I was the one who finally broke the spell. And Ryan was breaking it too. Mom tried calling 3 times in one day. I ignored every attempt. She finally sent a text. "I don't know what lies Ryan is feeding you, but you're letting him destroy this family." Classic deflection. No admission, no responsibility. Just desperate scrambling for the narrative. Blame Ryan. Blame me. Blame anyone except herself. I forwarded it to Ryan. He replied with one line. "She's scared." Good. My sister messaged next. Said Mom was crying in the kitchen, and Dad was pacing like he always did when things weren't going his way. Asked what was really going on and hoped we weren't overreacting about that dessert thing. That dessert thing. Like it was nothing. Like humiliating a child was just some minor social faux pas we should all laugh about later. I asked her one question. "Did you see what Mom did to Ethan at Thanksgiving?" She didn't answer. "Did you see the look on his face?" "Did you even ask why we left?" Still nothing. I let it sit. She hasn't messaged since. Few nights later, someone knocked on my door. It was almost dark. Ethan was finishing homework at the table, working on a math worksheet. I looked through the peephole. My dad, standing on the porch, looking frustrated and impatient. I didn't open it. He knocked again, harder. Shifted his weight from foot to foot, checked his phone, knocked a 3rd time. Each knock getting louder, more insistent. Ethan asked who it was. I said, "Nobody important," and for the first time in my life, I meant it. I wasn't just saying it out of anger or trying to convince myself. I truly didn't need anything from them anymore. Didn't want anything from them. They'd become irrelevant to my life in every way that mattered, and that terrified them more than anything else ever could. By Christmas week, I'd assumed they'd give up. They'd tried guilt, control, silence, even public shaming. None of it worked. I thought maybe they'd finally let it go, except that I was serious. Move on. They didn't. December 21st, I got certified mail. Had to sign for it. Thick envelope, Dad's name on the return address. Inside was a letter from their accountant about my trust split and serious tax complications that can arise from emotionally motivated decisions. In bold, we strongly advise against sudden actions that could affect family property and long-term equity. The letter went on for 3 pages, full of financial jargon and warnings about potential consequences. It was clearly meant to scare me. Make me think I was making a huge mistake, that I'd regret this financially. I read it in my kitchen while Ethan worked on a school project at the table. Some kind of diorama about penguins. Didn't say anything. Just folded the letter, slipped it back in the envelope, and dropped it in the trash. They still thought I was bluffing. Thought if they dragged it out long enough, layered on enough financial pressure, I'd cave. They didn't understand that I'd already made my decision. That nothing they said or did was going to change it. But they were pushing too hard. And worse, they were underestimating me. I sent a photo of the letter to Ryan. He called 5 minutes later. There's something you need to see, he said. He emailed me a scan of an old document, an amendment to the lake house agreement. The property they'd remodeled into some grand second home about a decade ago. 10 years ago, when I'd helped with part of the down payment, $15,000 I'd loaned them, they'd added me as partial cosigner. Temporarily, they said, just until they refinanced. No one ever removed my name. They forgot. Or maybe they didn't forget. Maybe they left it there thinking they might need leverage someday. Either way, it was still there. Ryan had seen the paperwork while helping with his own refinancing last year. If I was still on the deed, they couldn't do anything major with the lake house. Sell it, rent it, transfer ownership, without my written consent. They're trying to lease it to a company this summer, Ryan said. Big money, like 5 figures a month. Already in talks. Signed preliminary agreements. I was silent. Not because I was surprised by the profit motive, but because they'd never mentioned it. No heads up, no courtesy conversation. Not even a fake offer to cut me in. They were planning to make a fortune off property I'd helped pay for, and they hadn't said a word. Do you want to block it? Ryan asked. Absolutely. He sent me contact info for the property management company. I emailed them that night. A formal statement of partial ownership, a copy of the original deed with my name highlighted, and a clear message that I wasn't authorizing commercial use and wouldn't be signing any agreements. Made it official. 2 days later, Mom called 6 times in a row. I didn't pick up. Then she left a voicemail, started calm, then didn't. She said I was sabotaging the family's financial goals, that Ethan needed to learn his place, that if I kept pushing, I'd regret it. Her voice got higher and tighter as she went on, until she was practically shouting into the phone. Then she said the part that locked everything in. You're lucky we didn't say worse. He was out of line. And you both need to learn some humility. She admitted it. Finally, she wasn't sorry. She felt justified. In her mind, Ethan had deserved it. In her mind, I was the problem for not accepting my place in their hierarchy. I forwarded the voicemail to Ryan. No comment. Just sent it. An hour later, he texted, "We're done. Officially." Then, something unexpected happened. The next evening, Ryan and his wife came over with all the Christmas presents our parents had dropped off for their kids. Still wrapped. 6 boxes, all different sizes. They placed them on my living room floor without explanation. If they're going to treat your kid like a stranger, Ryan said, they don't get to spoil mine. We opened them together. My niece and nephew played with Ethan like nothing was wrong. They laughed, shared, took turns. No tension, no awkward explanations. Just kids being kids. The way it should be. Ethan picked up a box labeled "To Our Perfect Grandson" and looked at me questioningly. I nodded. Inside was a remote control drone. Brand new, top of the line. Must have cost $200 at least. He looked up at Ryan, surprised. Ryan just smiled. Guess it found the right kid after all. Later that night, after the kids were asleep upstairs in Ethan's room, having an impromptu sleepover, Ryan told me Dad had called him. Angry, cold, paranoid. Asked if I was mentally stable. Asked if Ryan thought I needed intervention. Suggested maybe I was having some kind of breakdown and needed professional help. Ryan told him no. That I was the most stable person in the family. The only one actually dealing with reality instead of hiding from it. Then he told him not to call again. Hung up before Dad could respond. I stood in my kitchen, arms crossed, watching snow fall outside. Felt calm for the first time in years. But I knew it wouldn't last. They weren't used to losing. Weren't used to not getting their way. Something bigger was coming. I just didn't expect it to come on Ryan's birthday. Ryan's birthday fell on January 7th. For years, it was the only family gathering that felt remotely genuine. No games, no speeches, no performance. Just people relaxing instead of pretending to be a Christmas card. Pizza, cake, maybe some board games. Low-key, comfortable. This year, Ryan said he wasn't doing anything. Just wanted to keep things quiet. Maybe have his immediate family over for dinner. Nothing big. I told him we'd swing by with cupcakes. Ethan's idea. He wanted to make confetti cupcakes with blue frosting because Uncle Ryan's favorite color is blue. Ryan said that sounded perfect, but our parents had other plans. At 5:41 p.m. that day, while Ethan and I were halfway to Ryan's house with a carrier full of carefully frosted cupcakes, I got a notification. New Facebook post from Mom. Multiple photos. Professional looking. Photo of the lake house. Fully decorated. String lights everywhere. Big happy birthday banner stretched across the front porch. 2 long tables covered in food. Looked like she'd catered it. Fancy. Expensive. Caption. Surprise party for our amazing son. Couldn't let the day go by without celebrating the man who holds our family together. So proud of you, Ryan. She'd tagged Ryan, tagged his wife, tagged their 3 kids, tagged half the extended family. Didn't tag me. Photos showed 40 people at least, all dressed up, all smiling. They hadn't told Ryan, hadn't told his wife, hadn't asked if he wanted it. Just threw a party and announced it online, assuming they could force us all into one space and play pretend. Assuming Ryan would just show up and smile and go along with it, because that's what we'd always done. I called Ryan. He picked up on the first ring. "What the heck is this?" His voice was tight, angry. I could hear his wife in the background asking what was wrong. When we got to his house 10 minutes later, he was furious. His phone was blowing up with messages from family friends asking what time to show up, asking why they hadn't gotten an invitation, asking if they could bring anything. His wife was trying to keep it together for the kids, who just realized there was a party happening, and they hadn't been invited, just publicly declared as guests by grandparents, who hadn't bothered to actually communicate with them. Ryan paced back and forth in his kitchen, reading messages out loud, each one making him angrier. "They're treating me like a puppet," he said, "like I'll just dance along because they decided something." Then he looked at me. "Let's go." I asked where. He said, "To the party. We're not crashing it. We're reclaiming it." 20 minutes later, we pulled into the lake house driveway. Cars everywhere. Had to park on the grass. Ethan stayed in the car with his cousins watching a movie on my phone. Ryan told them we'd be right back. 5 minutes tops. The place was packed. Cars lined the driveway and spilled onto the road. Music played softly. Some kind of instrumental thing. I recognized distant relatives I hadn't seen in years. Neighbors from my parents' street, one of Mom's book club friends looking uncomfortable near the patio. Everyone dressed nicely. Everyone holding drinks. Everyone pretending this was normal. Mom saw us first. Her face did this strange flicker. Shock, then forced joy, then worry. All in about 2 seconds. She opened her mouth, probably to say something sweet and hollow, and redirect the narrative. Ryan beat her to it. Loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "Why did you post a fake party online and make it look like I planned it?" She blinked, looked past him toward me like I'd put him up to this. "We wanted to surprise you, honey." He stepped forward, voice steady but firm. "You don't get to use me to stage some family redemption tour just because you messed up with Laura and Ethan. That's not how this works anymore." Dad appeared behind her, silent, staring. His face was red. The vein in his temple was visible, the one that always showed up when he was trying not to explode. Ryan turned to the crowd, projecting his voice so everyone could hear. "This wasn't my idea. And if any of you came here thinking this was a real family event, you've been misled. My parents threw this party without telling me. They posted about it online and put my name on it like I'd agreed. I didn't. So if you're here to support me, thanks, but you can leave. Because I'm not staying." People looked confused. Someone chuckled nervously like it was a joke. A few people started checking their phones, probably pulling up Mom's Facebook post to reread it. Mom tried talking over him, reaching for his arm. You wanted a photo op," Ryan said, pulling away from her touch. "You wanted a reset button. You wanted to make it look like everything's fine so you don't have to deal with the actual problems. But this family isn't whole anymore. And if you keep pretending, you're going to end up alone at tables you set for people who stopped showing up years ago." We left, just turned around and walked back to the car. Behind us, I could hear Mom calling Ryan's name, then mine. Heard Dad saying something about making a scene. Didn't turn around. Just kept walking. On the drive home, Ethan asked if the party was weird. I said yeah, but we didn't stay long. He nodded, satisfied with that answer, and went back to his movie. Later that night, around 11:30, I got a message from Mom. "You're destroying this family. Are you happy now? You've turned Ryan against us. I hope your bitterness was worth it. You've always been jealous of what others have, always resentful, and now you're poisoning Ryan with your negativity." I didn't reply, but Ryan did. On the group thread she hadn't realized we were both still in. The one with me, him, our sister, and our parents. "If you ever speak to Laura like that again," he wrote, "you'll find yourself cut off permanently. From us, from the trust, from the grandkids, from everything. This was your last chance to act like a parent. You failed. You failed Laura for 37 years. You failed Ethan at Thanksgiving. And you failed me today. I'm done making excuses for you. We both are." She didn't respond. Neither did Dad. My sister left the group chat without comment, but I knew what was coming next. The money, the trust, the real pain. It started 3 days later. I woke up to an email from the trust administrator. Subject line, Trust amendment, signature complete. I already knew what it meant before I opened it. Ryan had followed through. The trust had been formally split. I was now sole controller of my portion, completely separate from my parents. Their access was removed, every connection severed legally. At the bottom of the document, effective immediately, beneficiaries Robert and Diane are removed from future disbursements at the discretion of the co-trustee. Ryan hadn't just helped me leave. He'd cut them off. Not a warning. Not temporary. Final. I called him. He answered on the second ring. Didn't say anything right away. Just waited. He finally said, "They'll be at your door before sunset. Be ready." He was right. At 4:17 p.m., there was a knock. One knock, then nothing. I looked through the peephole. My parents, standing on the sidewalk. Not on the porch, not stepping up to the door. Just standing there on the public sidewalk, like they weren't sure if they belonged. Like they needed permission to approach. I opened the door, but didn't step out. Didn't invite them in. Mom smiled that practiced smile, the one she used with difficult clients at her volunteer positions. "Can we talk for a minute, sweetie?" I said. "About what?" Dad spoke, voice carefully controlled. "This is family. Family doesn't handle things through lawyers." I told him that was funny, coming from a man who used contracts and mortgages as weapons, who tried to manipulate me through financial arrangements my entire adult life. Mom stepped forward, hands clasped like she was praying. "We just want to find a way back. We didn't mean for things to go this far." I asked what she did mean when she told my son he hadn't earned dessert, when she mocked me in emails, when she used Ryan's birthday to stage a public image reset without his permission, when she sent me that photo with the caption about Ethan earning dessert next time. She didn't answer, just lowered her voice to that soft, reasonable tone. "We'll apologize to Ethan. We'll sit down with him and explain. If we're ready to admit we were wrong about how we handled things." I waited. Nothing else. No actual apology, no ownership. Just an offer to perform one if I agreed to their conditions. If I came back. If I submitted again. "We don't need that anymore," I said. "You're a lesson, not a legacy." I closed the door. No shouting, no threats. Just the end. Through the door, I heard Mom say something to Dad, but I'd already walked away. That night, she sent a long email. 5 paragraphs of melodrama. Forgiveness, hurt feelings, how families should stick together. She claimed Ryan was being manipulated by me. Said we were stealing their future. Destroying what they'd built. Making them look bad to extended family. The email went on, cycling through every manipulation tactic in the book. Last sentence. "You'll regret this when we're gone. When you're alone and you realize what you threw away." I didn't respond. Forwarded it to Ryan. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.